Spencer, are you prepared to go on to number 6 in the interim? All right. This is to provide $10,000 in conduit financing for the new Ampla Health Clinic in Yuba City.
Do I need to unmute her on that?
I'm sorry, 10 million. I forgot some zeros. What did I say? 10,000. 10 million.
Should I just say they need to have what they called into the?
Good morning, or good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the council. The item I'm bringing before you tonight, if approved, will allow the city to assist Ampla Health to acquire the lowest cost financing available for the construction of a new health clinic serving Yuba City. I do also have on the phone monitoring, waiting to interject or answer questions, Brian Quint of Quint & Timig LLP, who's bond counsel. And I have Anita Luck with Alisher & Winder LLP as representing city attorney. And I don't know if they're on the phone or not, but we might have Grant Wilson, who's the financial advisor hired by Ampla Health for this deal, and Kathy Walker, who's Ampla Health's CFO, Chief Financial Officer. Ampla Health was founded in 1964 to serve seasonal and migrant farm workers and low-income populations, but has grown and now offers services to all people, regardless of their ability to pay. The project is going to be a new health clinic, about 11,830 square feet, and refinancing of outstanding debt with a total value of $10 million. The project will be at 355 Samuel Drive in Yuba City, which is just off of Garden Highway. And it's going to provide better access to affordable health in an underserved community. As a nonprofit corporation, Ampla Health is not able to take advantage of tax-exempt financing without the issuance of securities by a city such as Yuba City. Ampla Health hired a financial advisor, Grant Wilson, that reached out to me to pitch the idea of helping, and bond counsel, Brian Quint of Quint & Timig, has represented the city throughout the planning and has drafted the documents in the agenda packet for this item. Anita Luck is city attorney with City Attorney Chaffin, and is very knowledgeable about bonds in general, has also helped guide me through the process. The structure of this financing and the details would be so much more complicated if the sale were to be, the sale of the certificates of participation was to be public and to hundreds of purchasers, but Ampla has a single buyer for all $10 million of the certificates in a private placement that is First Foundation Bank of Roseville, California. The city's commitment in the transaction is to give up our ability to issue tax-exempt bonds for the remainder of the calendar year, which we were not going to do anyway. We have no planned projects lined up and are actually running out of time to even produce that kind of funding for that type of project by December 31st, due to the logistics of bond financing and project planning. However, should an emergency arise, the city may still issue such debt by statute. The proposed structure is a certificates of participation financing where a payment stream made by the city, which comes from payments made by Ampla, will be certified and sold to investors. Under the first installment sale agreement, Ampla will sell its facilities to the city, and the city will agree to make purchase payments to Ampla over 21 years. Under the second installment sale agreement, the city will sell the facilities back to Ampla, and Ampla will agree to make installment payments to the city over 21 years. The city's obligation is solely limited to the payments made by Ampla and has no obligation to spend any city funds. Both payment streams are assigned to the trustee, U.S. Bank, which will convert the payments into certificates of participation. In this proposed private placement financing, as opposed to a public offering, First Foundation Bank has agreed to purchase the certificates of participation in exchange for receiving the payments over 21 years plus interest. Both sale agreements, the certificate purchase agreement, and a trustee agreement will be executed simultaneously at the close of the sale. AMPLA fully reimburses city staff time and attorney's fees in the cost of issuance process, which comes from the $10 million. The city is fully indemnified in this transaction by all parties, and First Foundation Bank has acknowledged in a contract that there is no circumstance for which the city will issue a payment on this debt. There will be a public hearing, and it's under TEFRA, which is the Tax Equity and Fiscal Responsibility Act, and the hearing is precedent to the issue of tax-exempt obligations. So it's because of the tax-exempt status of these obligations that we must conduct a public hearing. So the recommendation is to conduct a public hearing, approve the TEFRA resolution, and then approve the city resolution directing certain actions. Oops, did I miss a slide? And then I'm ready for any questions. And again, just as a reminder, we have the bond counsel and city attorney on the phone.
All right, any questions from council? We can do public comment right now. We have any public comment by chance?
Not on this.
All right, were you going to say something? Sure, we can do that. I think that's a good idea. Why don't we move forward with public hearing on the item? We'll open that up. And again, do we have any public comment?
None.
We have none. Okay, hearing none or seeing none, we'll close that. Now, if you have anything.
Yeah, through the mayor. Mr. Morrison, I get the whole process of what we're doing in the tax exempt, but my only concern is 21 years, if something was to go awry, can this negatively affect our credit rating? Because the bonds, we're the conduit for it, even though we've been, indemnified, protected, hold harmless. But could it, at any point, negatively impact our credit rating?
So I'm going to say no, and I'm going to invite bond counsel to chime in on this as well. Brian, would you unmute your phone and mute your computer and address the question?
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Yes, I'd like to confirm what Mr. Morrison said. There's no circumstance under which this transaction could affect the credit rating or credit worthiness of the city. The market understands that this is a conduit transaction, that the city is acting purely as a conduit in order to assist AMPLA, and there's no way that this would have a negative impact. In particular, as Mr. Morrison indicated, as a private placement, there's only one borrower, one lender here, and even in a public offering scenario, it would be unlikely. In a private placement scenario, the chance that anybody would even bring any question to the city is infinitesimal. So the answer is no.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Morrison. I just wanted that on the record so the public would understand that there's literally no risk to the city for this.
Entered as an attendee in listen-only mode.
Okay. So thank you for any of the call-in people can mute now, as we can hear some feedback from that side. But thank you, Mr. Quint, for that clarification. Any other questions?
Through the mayor. I don't know if this is a question for you or for the attorney, or maybe there's no answer to my question. I'm just going to ask it because it struck me in listening to Barry talk about the Greater Sacramento and the council and the impact of the job development. So I was curious to know, will the city then require for this potential building of 10 million, the construction, which is going to be a nice building, will we require prevailing wage, or are we going to require for local hire, local companies to be given the opportunity to have the opportunity to build something in the city, that people work here from the city, that own the companies that could help build this healthcare center. Any discussion on that?
So my response to that initially is that there's nothing in our contract with Ampla Health that requires that. So Ampla Health is building the facility. We will be out of the deal as soon as the closing happens. And the only impact we'll have, or the only input we'll have on the project from that point, would be through development services. So it'd be the normal, however a nonprofit would build a facility in Yuba City, and the permits and requirements that are standard for that type of project will be standard for this project. So we won't have input. As far as the prevailing wage goes, I know that's, I'm not sure if that's a requirement. Brian, would you have input on that?
Sorry, just updating my speaker here. Yeah, I believe that they do have the requirement of prevailing wage on the transaction, and you can inquire of them. I think they have every expectation that it will be constructed locally. But as you indicated, they're going to try to get the best construction deal that they can and get the best deal that they can. But I'm sure that they're going to be looking locally if possible.
I thank you for saying that, because I think it's really important in these times, in particular with COVID-19. Many people are struggling, and construction jobs are part of that. And we have emphasized, for development to occur in our city. So I would be, as one council member of 5, really looking towards, local hire, local companies, higher skilled labor, and definitely some prevailing wage jobs for our community, because as we've heard from Barry with the Greater Sacramento Council, that these kinds of jobs is really what is going to increase the opportunities here in this community, and we need to be doing more of that. And this is a $10 million opportunity with healthcare, which is skilled facility and skilled type of labor. This is similar, I'm guessing, in design and development to what Adventist did in the extending of the hospital and some of the work related to, not actually as complicated, but interesting to the design of how this is going to look in the future. But I just want to make sure that those opportunities are going to be there, and I'm glad to hear that it sounds like that's the direction.
Through the mayor.
Yes, sir.
Just want to let Councilmember Espandola know that the building's being built right now. The foundation's in, and they're going. So everything's a go.
Thank you, Councilman Cardoza. But I just want to emphasize again, those points of local companies, local hire, local skilled, and prevailing wage jobs for this community. That's what I'm speaking of in this $10 million that monies are going to be utilized from the city. So we're backing this pretty much.
Through the mayor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Morrison, can you tell us how much is actually for construction? Because they were wrapping in some other obligations. So what's the actual building?
I'll defer to Brian on that. My involvement was for the entire deal as a whole. So Brian, are you able to elaborate on how much is refunding and how much is going to building construction?
It's about 50-50. It's about $5 million for refinancing and $5 million for the new project.
Thank you.
Through the mayor. Just want to go back and emphasize a little bit of what Councilwoman Espandola was talking about. We ask that they take a good look at us for local labor and such, because we want to get our economy going. But that burden also really relies on our local businesses. So I would encourage them to bid on the project, because kind of putting a constraint on something that isn't a city project. We're just a conduit. We're not backing anything. We're not putting up any money. Ampla is going to do what Ampla needs to do as a company, and they're going to look and try to get the best deals and build it in the most efficient way they can. I know they're a good partner with the community, and I would ask them to please take a look, but that's something that we can't put a constraint on them, but we can ask our local contractors to take a look at Ampla and apply for the jobs, because I know that there's jobs that goes on around that they don't get any local bids, even here at the city. There's things we do that we won't even get local bids on. And so it's a two-way street, and I just appreciate AMPLA investing $5 more million into our city. So thank you.
Sorry about that. Thank you. Any other comment?
Through the mayor, I just want to finally say that this is, again, I am very close with a lot of the AMPLA board members and know Ben, the CEO, really well. And I know that they do so much good for the community. And this, again, not wanting to make it challenging for them, but just want to emphasize how important it is to have local jobs, local hire, local companies, skilled labor, and prevailing wage. Those are important.
All right, thank you. I think we've come to the point where we can get a motion. Let's see, we want to approve the TEFRA. Go ahead, I'm sorry, you're probably just going to say all that. Go ahead.
So I'll make a motion for conduct, go ahead to conduct public hearing.
Already did that?
Already did, I'm sorry, to approve the attached TEPRA resolution in which the city has proposed to enter into an installment sale agreement with AMPLA Health as a seller, and C, approve the attached city resolution authorizing the form and execute the certain documents in connection with installment sale financing and refinancing of the health facilities for AMPLA Health, and direct certain actions 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Second.
All right, first and second to approve staff recommendation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? None. Thank you very much, Spencer. Appreciate it. Are we able to back up, Diana? Or I don't know if we're moving on to 7 or not.
So let's check.
Oh,
Linda,
okay.
are you on the phone this time?
All right, so we'll go on to 7, if that's what the,
Cynthia Broderick is saying that she's muted by the organizer.
I think
So
that might be us.
I think she's trying to connect versus via the computer.
That's what.
And they can't connect via the computer. They need to call the conference call line
Okay.
that was provided. And I texted that number to Brenda. And so she should have that number.
And I've put that back to them too on the computer.
All right, well, absent their presence, let's move on to number 7.
Okay.
If we have to postpone the next meeting, so be it.
Oh, Diana, we are on the conference call line, Cynthia Broderick.
So try hitting *6 to see if that unmutes.